The wind blew cold across the ruined spaceport. Dust and broken metal scattered the streets. Eli, a human soldier, sat alone on a cracked bench near the old shuttle bay. He was tired, hungry, and bruised from the long battles that had torn this alien planet apart. Around him, broken ships lay like skeletons, reminders of the war between humans and the local alien factions. His only comfort was a small chocolate bar tucked safely inside his suit pocket. It was the last one he had, and maybe the last thing from Earth he would ever taste. He had been saving it for days, maybe weeks, for a moment when he truly needed hope. Today felt like that moment. As he unwrapped the silver foil, the smell of cocoa filled the air. His mouth watered, his fingers trembled, and just as he lifted it to his lips, he heard soft footsteps. He turned, expecting a scavenger or a thief, but instead, he saw a girl. An alien girl, no older than 12 in human years, with pale lavender skin, messy silver hair, and wide glowing eyes. She wore torn cloth-like robes, too thin for the cold, and her hands were shaking. She looked at the chocolate, not saying a word, just staring as if it were treasure from another world. Eli frowned, unsure what to do. She looked hungry, fragile, and lost. He had seen many aliens during this war, fighters, spies, even beasts, but something about this girl felt different. There was no hate in her eyes, just hunger and silence. He sighed and looked down at his chocolate. It was the last piece of Earth he had, his final comfort, his last link to home. But he couldn't ignore her. Without speaking, he broke the bar in half, offering her the larger piece. The girl didn't move for a moment, her eyes wide with disbelief. Then slowly, like a scared animal, she stepped forward and took the chocolate with both hands. She didn't eat it right away, just held it, as if afraid it might vanish. Eli gave her a soft nod, then leaned back, taking a small bite from his own half. The taste was sweet, familiar, and warm. For a few moments, the war and pain faded. The girl finally took a bite, and her eyes lit up with wonder. She smiled, a real, pure smile, and for a second, she looked less like a poor orphan and more like royalty from an old tale. Eli chuckled quietly, wiping a tear from his eye. "Good, isn't it?" he whispered, more to himself than her. She nodded slowly, still chewing, but her gaze drifted away, past him, toward the wreckage behind. Suddenly, the broken streetlights above them flickered. The air grew strange, like static before a storm. Eli stood, alert, hand on his old blaster. The girl dropped the rest of her chocolate and looked up at him, not scared, but serious. Her glowing eyes dimmed, then flared brightly, patterns flickering across them like symbols. "What the?" Eli muttered, stepping back. The ground under her feet shimmered like ripples in water. She looked at him with deep sadness, then turned and ran toward the ruins. "Wait!" Eli shouted, but she was already gone, disappearing between the twisted wrecks and shadows. Confused and shaken, he looked down at the half-eaten chocolate on the ground. It was melted, but not just from heat, it was humming faintly, like a small machine. He picked it up carefully, and the foil flashed with strange alien symbols. His comm device buzzed suddenly, screen flashing a warning. Unknown signal detected, origin, Royal Zerati code, security breach. Eli's heart raced. "Zerati," he whispered, recognizing the name from old war briefings. The Zerati were not poor, not refugees, not beggars. They were ancient, powerful, and feared. They were supposed to be extinct. He looked back into the ruins where the girl had vanished. She wasn't just a poor alien child. She was something much more. And he had just shared his last chocolate bar with her. Without realizing, Eli had stepped into something much bigger than himself. And now, others would be watching. Very closely. Eli wandered through the rusted streets of the alien outpost. His boots crunched over broken tiles and ash. The chocolate bar incident kept replaying in his mind. The girl's eyes, glowing like starlight. The way machines flickered when she touched the wrapper. And now, his comm device was acting strange. It wouldn't connect to command. The screen kept flashing strange symbols and repeating a soft static hum. He stopped near a wall covered in alien graffiti and tapped the device again. "Come on, just work," he muttered. But instead of a signal, the screen glowed with one word in alien script, Zerati. Eli's stomach twisted. He hadn't heard that name in years. The Zerati were legends, warnings told to soldiers like bedtime monsters. Ancient, royal beings of immense power, destroyed after they challenged every major alliance in the galaxy. No one had seen one in over a century. But that little girl. Her eyes, her presence, her effect on machines. Could she really be one of them? As he turned the corner near a collapsed market stall, a voice startled him. "You shared," the voice whispered, soft like wind chimes. He spun around, blaster half-raised, but no one was there. Then he saw her, standing just a few feet away. The same girl, wearing the same torn robes. But something was different this time. She wasn't dirty, not anymore. Her hair floated slightly, as if weightless. And there was a faint glow tracing her skin. "What are you?" Eli asked carefully. The girl tilted her head, like she was trying to remember something. "I was asleep," she said, "but the gift woke me." "You mean the chocolate?" he asked, still confused. She nodded slowly. It had memory, emotion, sacrifice. "To us, that's power." Eli blinked, struggling to understand. Before he could say anything else, the ground trembled slightly. Shadows shifted behind nearby wrecks, and mechanical whirring echoed across the alley. The girl's glow dimmed, and she stepped back, hiding behind a steel column. A squad of alien soldiers emerged, tall, armored, and scanning the area with red glowing visors. They spoke in sharp clicks, hunting something, or someone. Eli stayed perfectly still, his blaster held tight but low. One of the soldiers sniffed the air, paused, and looked in his direction. "Human," it growled, stepping closer. The girl gently grabbed Eli's wrist, her hand cool and calm. She looked into his eyes and whispered, "Don't let them touch me." In that moment, the air shimmered again, just like before. The steel walls bent like liquid, and the girl simply vanished, gone without a sound. The soldiers reached Eli, pushing him against the wall. "What did you see?" one demanded. "Where is the royal echo?" Eli didn't answer, pretending to be confused. They scanned his body, and the device on his wrist short-circuited, sparks flying. The symbols disappeared, but the scent of the girl's energy still lingered on him. The lead soldier growled, "He's been marked." "Take him," said another. Before they could grab him, a sudden pulse of energy burst through the alley, knocking everyone back. The soldiers fell, dazed, their armor smoking. Eli's ears rang, but his body remained untouched. Out of the shadows, the girl stepped again, her glow brighter than before. She waved her hand, and the weapons the soldiers held turned to ash. "I warned you," she said to them, voice echoing strangely. "He shared without fear." "I claim him." Eli gasped. "You what?" She turned to him, eyes now shimmering like stars. "You gave something with meaning," she said. "Now you are bound to my path." "Wait, I didn't agree to this," he replied, stepping back. But she just smiled, a soft and haunting smile. "You didn't have to." A sudden light flashed above, and a triangular craft descended from the clouds, smooth and silent, unlike any tech Eli had seen before. It hovered just above them, scanning the girl, then scanning Eli. The voice from above echoed, ancient and cold. "He shares. She awakens. Path unlocked." The girl took his hand, and once again, the world shimmered and bent. With a final flash, they both vanished from the alley, leaving behind scorched soldiers and broken shadows. The world around Eli twisted like smoke. Colors shifted, shapes bent, and for a moment, everything was silent. When the blur cleared, he found himself standing in a massive chamber beneath the planet's surface. The walls were carved with glowing alien symbols, ancient and alive. Pillars floated midair, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. The girl, still holding his hand, stepped forward and released him. "This is the old place," she whispered, "the temple of remembering." Eli looked around, his blaster still in his grip, unsure whether to trust her or run. "This temple is yours?" he asked. She nodded. "It belonged to my people, before the war, before the fear." Eli didn't understand. "You keep saying your people," he said. "Who are you really?" The girl turned to face him fully, her eyes glowing with fire and stars. "I am Nyara," she said softly, daughter of the last Zerati queen. Eli's breath caught. Zerati, the name that made generals nervous and machines tremble. You're one of them, he said slowly. Not one of, she corrected, the last. Meanwhile, far above, alarms echoed through the city. An elite strike force had been activated. Their mission was clear: locate the Royal Echo and terminate any human contact. The bounty on Eli's head tripled within minutes. His image flashed across alien communication hubs, labeled Human Host, Level 5 Threat. Back underground, Nyara moved to the center of the chamber, touching a glowing sphere that hovered mid-air. The ground trembled, and a beam of light scanned her, followed by Eli. You triggered this, she said without looking back. Your kindness, your memory, your chocolate, it activated the old bond. Eli raised an eyebrow. I gave you candy, not a blood oath. She smiled. In Zerati culture, food shared in hunger is stronger than any contract. He shook his head, still trying to understand what was happening. What does this place do? He asked. It listens, she said. It remembers truths others tried to erase. Suddenly, a loud hum filled the air, and the chamber's color shifted to crimson. Unwelcome presence detected, the voice echoed from the walls. Eli turned toward the tunnel, too late. Explosions rocked the entryway, and elite armored units stormed in, their weapons locked and glowing. Target acquired, one shouted, surrender the Royal Echo or be neutralized. Nyara stood firm, hands glowing with raw power, but her face showed fear. They brought suppressors, she said. I can't stop them here. Eli grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind a pillar, plasma blasts slicing the air above them. Can your temple do something? He shouted over the noise. Yes, but it needs time, she replied. I need to reach the source node. How far? She hesitated. Deep. Eli took a deep breath, pulled a grenade from his belt, and tossed it toward the squad. Smoke filled the room as he grabbed her hand. Then let's go deep, he said. They dashed into a narrow tunnel at the back of the chamber, metal crunching beneath their feet. Above, the alien strike leader activated a tracker, following the bond signature between Nyara and Eli. Seal exits, he commanded. They won't escape. In the dark tunnel, Eli ran beside Nyara, the air growing colder, the light fading. She stopped suddenly and placed her palm on a wall, which melted away like mist, revealing a hidden staircase. At the bottom was a chamber unlike anything Eli had ever seen. A large tree, metallic, glowing, and ancient, stood in the center, its roots flowing with blue energy. This is the source node, Nyara said, out of breath. It's connected to every Zerati mind, living or lost. She touched its bark, and the entire room lit up. Visions poured into Eli's mind, of galaxies burning, of alien kings kneeling, of peace shattered by fear of the Zerati's gifts. He fell to his knees, overwhelmed. Nyara knelt beside him. I didn't ask for this power, she whispered, but I won't let them erase what we were. Suddenly, the chamber shook. The strike team had breached the outer tunnel. They're coming, Eli said, standing up again. Whatever you're going to do it fast. Nyara placed both hands on the tree, her body lifting slightly into the air. A pulse of pure white light burst from her chest, flowing into the tree, into the walls, into the entire planet's veins. The machines above glitched, soldiers froze, and weapons melted. The hunter squad outside collapsed to their knees, screaming in pain as their helmets cracked open. Inside the chamber, Nyara's glow faded as she fell into Eli's arms, weak and trembling. Used too much energy, he said, cradling her gently. I had to, she whispered. I marked the entire planet as sacred ground now. No one can hunt me here anymore. Eli held her tight as the metallic tree shimmered softly beside them. But deep in the shadows, something else had awakened, something older than Nyara. Something watching them both. Silently waiting. The chamber was quiet now. The glowing tree stood still, pulsing gently like it was breathing. Eli sat against the wall, Nyara resting beside him, her head on his shoulder. Her skin, once glowing with power, was now pale, almost translucent. The powerful Zerati energy inside her had dimmed, but her presence still felt heavy, ancient. He looked down at her, unable to ignore the strange mix of innocence and power she carried. "You okay?" he whispered. She blinked slowly, then nodded. "I will be," she said. "The source accepted me again, but it took everything I had." Eli looked around the room, the roots of the tree curling through the floor like veins. Above them, the temple shield hummed, keeping the rest of the world out, for now. "You weren't just hiding," Eli finally said. "You were sleeping, waiting to awaken." Nyara opened her eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light. "Yes," she whispered, "they put me to sleep during the fall of our empire. My mother, the last empress, knew they were coming. They feared our thoughts, our minds, our truth. So she locked me inside a memory stasis chamber, deep under this planet." Eli leaned back, overwhelmed. "Why chocolate then?" he asked with a soft laugh. "Of all things to wake you up." Nyara smiled, her voice gentle. "It wasn't the chocolate," she said, "it was you. Your kindness, your willingness to share your last treasure with a stranger. Zerati power responds to emotion, not logic. Love, sacrifice, courage, these are our energy." Eli's expression turned serious. "So, you're not just some royal alien hiding from bounty hunters," he said. "You're the last living heir of a race the galaxy tried to erase." Nyara nodded, her eyes soft. "And now they know I'm awake," she whispered. "They won't stop until they destroy everything connected to me." Suddenly, the chamber lights dimmed, and a low hum echoed through the walls. The temple sensors flashed red, showing movement outside. "They're breaching the outer perimeter," Eli said, checking his wrist device. "Multiple heat signatures. They found us again." Nyara stood, swaying slightly but stronger now. "No," she said firmly, "they found you." Eli frowned. "Me?" She placed a hand over his heart, her fingers glowing slightly. "You're not just a helper now," she said, "you're part of the bond. When you shared your last food, you became my echo. The source linked our energies." Eli's voice dropped. "So now they want me too." She nodded. "You carry a piece of Zerati memory inside you now. They can't let that live." He paced the room, trying to make sense of it. "I was just trying to be kind," he muttered, "didn't sign up for galactic memory wars." Nyara gave a weak chuckle. "Kindness is always dangerous." The temple suddenly shifted again, showing a glowing panel near the tree. "What's that?" Eli asked, moving closer. Nyara joined him, her expression serious. "That's the memory well," she said. "It holds everything the Zerati knew, science, history, secrets of creation." Eli stared at it. "This could change everything." Nyara's voice was quiet, "Or destroy everything. If it falls into the wrong hands, they could restart the war that nearly wiped us out." Just then, a deep voice echoed through the chamber. "Too late," it said, "we're already here." A figure stepped from the shadows, tall and cloaked in silver-black armor. His face was hidden behind a glass mask, and glowing veins ran across his body. Eli raised his weapon, but the man didn't flinch. "I am Corin," the figure said, "Warden of Forgotten Truths. I've been watching you, Princess." Nyara's hands began to glow again, but her body shook with weakness. Corin raised his palm, and the air froze. "No more fighting," he said, "not yet. I came to give you a warning." Eli stepped between them. "She's not alone anymore." Corin turned to Eli, studying him. "Ah yes, the human," he said, "the one who shared chocolate. Do you know what you've done? You've restarted a signal that was never meant to return. You've awakened something older than Nyara, older than even the Zerati." Eli's grip tightened. "What do you mean?" Corin looked up at the glowing tree. "That memory tree isn't just a Zerati relic," he said, "it's a lock. A lock for a door that should never be opened." Nyara's expression changed, her voice low. "You mean the vault of the first ones?" Corin nodded slowly. "And the source just sent the key." The air inside the chamber grew heavier. The lights dimmed to a strange blue glow, as if the walls themselves were holding their breath. Corin stood still, tall and quiet, his glass mask reflecting the glowing memory tree. Nyara's face turned pale, her body swaying again. Eli stepped closer to her, catching her before she could fall. Her energy was low, her breathing shallow, but her eyes stayed locked on Corin. "You knew this would happen," she whispered, "didn't you?" Corin gave a small nod. "Yes," he said calmly, "I've watched you since you stirred in your stasis sleep. The galaxy thought the Zerati were gone, but I knew better. Their last hope slept beneath the bones of this planet." Eli gritted his teeth. "And what do you want with her now?" Corin looked at Eli, the glow of his mask flickering. "I don't want her," he said, "I want you." Eli blinked, confused. "Me?" he said, "why me?" Corin stepped closer, the ground trembling beneath his boots. "Because you're the bondholder now," Corin said. "You carry fragments of her memory, her power, her soul. When you shared that chocolate, you gave more than food. You gave her access to your thoughts, your heart. That awakened a bridge between your minds, a bridge older than time." Eli looked down at Nyara, her hand still glowing faintly in his. "What does that mean?" he asked. Nyara tried to speak, but Corin raised a hand and finished for her. "It means if she dies, you carry the legacy. But if you die, the key to the vault dies with you. The vault of the first ones. That door is already searching for your mind print." Eli stepped back slowly, heart pounding. "I'm just a soldier," he said. "I didn't sign up for this cosmic destiny stuff." Nyara's voice was soft now, trembling. "It's not just destiny," she said, "it's fusion. Our minds are already connected. But if you agree, we can go deeper. We can merge, fully." Eli stared at her, unsure what she meant. "What happens if we do that?" he asked. Nyara took a shaky breath. "We share everything," she said, "thoughts, pain, memories, even power. You'll see my past, my world, my fears. And I'll see yours. But once merged, there's no going back." Corin didn't interrupt this time, just watched silently, waiting for their decision. Eli looked into Nyara's eyes, and for a moment, he saw not a girl, not an alien, but something human, something broken and alone. Like a child who had lost everything and was too tired to keep running. He squeezed her hand gently. "Let's do it," he whispered. "I'm not letting you carry this alone." Nyara closed her eyes and placed both hands on his chest. A beam of silver light erupted from her palms, surrounding them both in a sphere of energy. Eli gasped as visions flooded into his mind. He saw her birth, on a throne of light beneath twin moons. He saw her mother, the last empress, whispering lullabies as planets burned outside. He felt her loneliness inside the stasis chamber, silent and dreaming for over 100 years. And then, he saw the galaxy through her eyes. Not just stars and ships, but souls, glowing threads of life and emotion stretching between worlds. At the same time, Nyara saw his memories. A little boy on Earth, hiding under the bed during storms. His first love, his first battle, his quiet guilt after every mission. She felt his pain, his stubborn hope, his soft laugh when he ate chocolate. They floated inside each other's thoughts, weightless, timeless. When the merge ended, they collapsed in each other's arms, shaking, gasping, changed. The memory tree pulsed brighter than ever, reacting to the merge. Corin stepped back as the ground split in front of him, revealing a staircase glowing with red symbols. "The vault," Nyara whispered, still leaning on Eli. "It has accepted our bond." Eli stood slowly, helping her up. "So now what?" he asked. "We go down," she said, "and face what was locked away." Corin raised his hand, stopping them. "One warning," he said, his voice darker now. "If you open that door, there is no turning back. Whatever was imprisoned down there, if it wakes, it could change the balance of the galaxy again." Nyara looked at him, her voice steady now. "It already has." Together, Eli and Nyara walked toward the stairs, the memory tree behind them flickering like fire. Below them, something ancient stirred. Something that had waited centuries for a human mind. And now, it was awake. The staircase descended deeper than Eli expected. The air changed with every step, denser, older, alive with pressure that made the bones ache and thoughts slow. The walls pulsed faintly with light, showing ancient symbols that shifted shape whenever Nyara passed by. Eli kept close to her, their hands still lightly touching, a glow between their palms proving the merge had left a permanent mark. Behind them, Corin followed in silence, like a ghost who had seen this path before and regretted every step of it. As they moved lower, the light above faded completely, replaced by the dim red glow of the vault itself. It wasn't a door in the usual sense. It was a veil, a thick, swirling wall of living energy, dark and red like blood mixed with smoke. Eli stopped in front of it, staring into the swirling mist. "There's something behind this," he whispered. Nyara nodded, her voice quiet and tight. "Yes," she said, "this is where my ancestors locked away the truth." Not just knowledge, Corin added from behind, but something they feared even more than extinction. Something they created and tried to forget. Eli frowned. What kind of truth needs to be locked away for 1,000 years? Nyara didn't answer, but instead stepped forward and lifted her hand. The veil reacted instantly, curling around her fingers like steam. It scanned her DNA, her memories, and her emotional state, all in seconds. The mist pulled back, slowly revealing what lay beyond. A vast chamber, silent and circular. In its center stood a black monolith, floating just inches above the ground. It hummed, not with sound, but with thought. Eli could feel it inside his skull, brushing his mind gently like it was trying to remember him. Or maybe, waiting for him to remember it. Nyara took a step forward, her voice shaking. "The core of origin," she whispered, "built by the first ones." "They were not gods, not exactly," Corin said, walking slowly toward the monolith. "They were thinkers, builders, beings who mastered not just matter, but meaning. They could shape reality through memory." Eli looked confused. "Shape reality?" "Yes," Nyara said. "They didn't build ships or weapons, they built truths, and those truths could become real. The Zerati were their descendants, but even we couldn't handle the full power. That's why the vault was sealed." Eli slowly approached the monolith, its surface completely black, until he got close. Then it began to glow, showing images. But they weren't of the past. They were of possible futures. One showed Earth burned to ash, consumed by fear and war. Another showed alien worlds bowing under a false peace enforced by corrupted Zerati power. And one showed Eli standing alone, crowned in white fire, galaxies swirling behind him. He stepped back, heart pounding. "What is this thing trying to do?" he asked. "It doesn't want to do anything," Corin said. "It offers choice," Nyara whispered, "and sacrifice." The monolith suddenly sent out a pulse, blasting the chamber in light. Nyara fell to her knees, screaming, clutching her head. Eli rushed to her, holding her close. "What's happening?" he shouted. Corin's voice was grim. "It's searching for a host. It wants to leave this vault. But only through someone worthy." Nyara's eyes burned like stars now, but her body shook violently. "It's trying to take me," she gasped, "but it's not meant for me anymore. It wants you, Eli." Eli froze. "Me? I merged with you," she whispered. "It senses your mind, your heart, your humanity. You're not a warrior like my kind. You're something rarer. A builder of bonds." Eli looked at the monolith again. He saw the pain it held, the knowledge of 1,000 civilizations, the sorrow of 10,000 wars, the weight of every broken piece. If he accepted it, he could rewrite everything. But at a price. He felt it deep inside. He would lose his identity, maybe even his life. Nyara grabbed his hand, eyes wet with tears. "I don't want to lose you," she said. "But if you take it, you could save more than just me. You could reset everything." Eli looked into her eyes and nodded, slowly. Then, without a word, he stepped forward and placed his hand on the monolith. It didn't explode or scream. Instead, it sighed, a deep, ancient breath of relief. The room turned white, the light filling every corner. And Eli was gone. There was only silence. The kind of silence that stretches across galaxies. The vault chamber was empty now, except for Nyara and Corin. The monolith no longer hovered, no longer glowed. It had vanished, along with Eli. Nyara remained on her knees, hands pressed to the cold floor, eyes closed as tears traced lines across her cheeks. Corin stood nearby, helmet lowered, silent for once, his mask dim. Neither of them spoke, because there were no words. The man who had shared his last chocolate bar, his last piece of earth, was gone. Not dead, not broken. Just gone. Taken by the monolith, absorbed into the core of origin. The vault sealed itself again, the swirling red mist fading to a faint golden shimmer, like a wound that had finally closed. Nyara stood slowly, her body shaking but her eyes strong. "I felt him," she whispered, "right before the end. He didn't fight it." Corin looked up, he accepted the burden. He became the vessel. Nyara nodded, her voice low and proud. "Eli didn't just save me," she said, "he rewrote the code of memory." Suddenly, the walls around them shifted, glowing with unfamiliar colors, soft greens, blues, and golds. The symbols changed too, no longer just Zerati script but a blend of languages, earth tongues, forgotten glyphs, universal symbols. The core was working. Eli's mind was guiding it. Above ground, the changes were immediate. The warring machines stopped mid-flight. Alien warlords dropped their weapons, blinking in confusion. Data networks across the galaxy received a new signal, the Legacy Pulse. It wasn't a command. It wasn't even a message. It was a feeling. A memory of kindness, of warmth, of two beings sharing something small but meaningful. The memory of a broken man offering his last chocolate bar to a girl he didn't even know. And the galaxy remembered. 3 cycles passed. Peace spread, not enforced by power, but chosen by will. Zerati temples were opened again, not for war, but for healing. And in every capital, in every outpost, one story kept being told. The human and the chocolate. It became myth, then legend, then sacred memory. A reminder that even the smallest act of kindness could rewrite the stars. Nyara returned to the surface, her strength slowly restored. She no longer hid who she was. She walked among people of all species, not as a princess or a weapon, but as a witness. She never claimed power, never built armies. She built gardens. Places where people could come and share stories, food, memories. And at the heart of each garden, there was always a statue. A tall human figure in tattered armor, holding out a chocolate bar with a gentle smile. Nyara visited one such garden on the 5th anniversary of the Vault's awakening. Children ran between the flowers, and old veterans sat beneath sun-shielding trees. She placed a small offering at the base of the statue, a chocolate bar wrapped in silver foil. A young girl approached her, curious. "Was he real?" the girl asked, "the human in the statue?" Nyara smiled, kneeling beside her. "He was more real than most people ever meet," she said. The girl unwrapped the chocolate and broke it in half, offering a piece to Nyara. Nyara took it gently, her hands trembling. "Why do we still do this?" the girl asked. "The sharing." Nyara looked to the sky, where the stars shimmered softly. "Because someone once did," she said, "when it mattered most. And now, we remember." In the far edges of space, in a realm beyond time, a soft presence stirred. It had no body, no voice, no name anymore. But it remembered everything. A boy hiding during a storm. A soldier offering comfort. A girl with glowing eyes and a broken past. A chocolate bar shared in silence. And it smiled. Because kindness had not been forgotten. It had become legacy.